Here are some additional fish tape tips. Firstly, consider using a metal fish as the leader. This provides extra weight and rigidity, making it easier to push through tight spaces. Secondly, attach a magnet to the end of the fish tape. This helps retrieve dropped screws, nuts, or other small metal objects that may be difficult to reach. Thirdly, use a vacuum cleaner hose to guide the fish tape. This helps keep the tape on track, especially through complex pathways, and reduces friction. Fourthly, mark the fish tape with taper markers. This makes it easy to measure the distance reached or to mark specific locations within the conduit or wall. Fifthly, use a fish tape pulling grip. This tool provides a comfortable grip and allows for better control and force when pushing the tape. Sixthly, create a fish tape pulley. By attaching a pulley to a high point and running the fish tape through it, you can reduce friction and pull it with less effort, especially in vertical runs. Seventhly, use a fish tape with a built-in LED light. This helps illuminate dark spaces, making it easier to see where the tape is going and identify any obstructions. Eighthly, use a fish tape with a built-in camera. This allows you to inspect the inside of conduits or walls remotely, providing a visual aid for navigating complex pathways. Ninthly, connect multiple fish tapes together. This extends the reach of your fish tape, allowing you to traverse longer distances in larger conduit runs. Tenthly, use a fish tape guide. This is a small device that helps push the tape through conduit fittings and bends, reducing the chance of snagging or kinking. When working with metal fish tapes, be mindful of potential electrical hazards. Always de-energize circuits before running fish tape through conduits that may contain live wires. Consider using a non-conductive fish tape made of fiberglass or nylon for added safety. When pushing or pulling fish tape, avoid excessive force that could damage the tape or the conduit. Use a smooth, controlled motion to prevent kinking or breakage. Lubricate the fish tape with a wire-pulling lubricant to reduce friction and make it easier to slide through the conduit. Apply the lubricant liberally, especially in areas with bends or fittings. When pulling wires through conduit, use a wire-pulling grip or basket to secure the wires to the fish tape. This will prevent the wires from slipping off the tape during the pull. Avoid pulling too many wires at once, as this can create excessive friction and make the pull more difficult. Consult the National Electrical Code, or NEC, for guidelines on conduit fill capacity. When working in tight spaces, consider using a flexible fish tape or a wire snake. These tools are designed to navigate around obstacles and through narrow openings. When running fish tape through multiple bends, use a series of short pulls rather than one long pull. This will reduce the amount of friction and make the pull easier. When finished using the fish tape, clean it with a dry cloth to remove any dirt or debris. Store the fish tape in a dry place to prevent rust or corrosion. Before starting any electrical work, always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer. They can provide guidance on safe work practices and ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and standards. When working with electrical tools and equipment, always wear appropriate personal protective equipment, including safety glasses, gloves, and a hard hat. Inspect the fish tape regularly for any signs of damage, such as cracks, kinks, or fraying. Replace the fish tape if it is damaged or worn. Use caution when working near energized electrical equipment. Maintain a safe distance and avoid contact with any live wires or components. Follow all applicable safety regulations and guidelines when working with electricity. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Electricity can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. When running fish tape through walls or ceilings, be careful not to damage any existing wiring or plumbing. Use a stud finder to locate studs and joists, and avoid drilling or cutting into any concealed utilities. If you encounter any obstacles or obstructions, stop and assess the situation. Do not force the fish tape through, as this could damage the tape or the conduit. Consider using a different route or a different type of fish tape. When pulling wires through conduit, use a wire-pulling lubricant that is compatible with the type of wire insulation being used. Some lubricants can damage certain types of insulation, so it is important to choose the right lubricant for the job. When working with aluminum conduit, use a wire pulling lubricant that is specifically designed for use with aluminum. Aluminum conduit can be easily damaged by certain lubricants, so it is important to use the right lubricant to prevent corrosion or other problems. When pulling wires through long runs of conduit, consider using a power wire puller. These tools can provide a significant amount of pulling force, making it easier to pull wires through long or difficult runs. When using a power wire puller, be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. Overloading the puller can damage the equipment or the wires. When pulling wires through conduit, use a wire pulling swivel to prevent the wires from twisting. Twisting wires can create friction and make the pull more difficult. When working with multiple wires, use a wire organizer to keep the wires neatly bundled together. This will make it easier to pull the wires through the conduit and prevent them from becoming tangled. When finished pulling wires, label the wires clearly so that they can be easily identified later. This will make it easier to troubleshoot any problems or make any future changes to the wiring. When working with electrical panels, be sure to turn off the power to the panel before starting any work. This will prevent electrical shock. When working with electrical panels, use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires or components. When working with electrical panels, wear appropriate personal protective equipment, including safety glasses, gloves, and a hard hat. When working with electrical panels, be careful not to damage any of the components inside the panel. If you are not comfortable working with electrical panels, hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. When working with electricity, always follow the National Electrical Code, or NEC. The NEC provides detailed guidelines for safe electrical installations. When working with electricity, be aware of the potential hazards and take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. When running fish tape through existing walls, be careful not to damage any paint or wallpaper. Use a drop cloth to protect the surrounding area. When running fish tape through existing walls, use a small drill bit to create a pilot hole before inserting the fish tape. This will help to prevent the fish tape from snagging on any obstructions. When running fish tape through existing walls, use a flexible fish tape that is designed for navigating around obstacles. When running fish tape through existing walls, be aware of the location of any pipes or wires that may be concealed within the wall. Use a stud finder to locate studs and joists, and avoid drilling or cutting into any concealed utilities. When running fish tape through existing walls, use a vacuum cleaner to remove any dust or debris that may be created during the process. When running fish tape through ceilings, be careful not to damage any of the ceiling tiles or drywall. Use a ladder or scaffolding to reach the ceiling safely. When running fish tape through ceilings, be aware of the location of any light fixtures or other electrical devices that may be mounted in the ceiling. Avoid drilling or cutting into any of these devices. When running fish tape through ceilings, use a flexible fish tape that is designed for navigating around obstacles. When running fish tape through ceilings, use a vacuum cleaner to remove any dust or debris that may be created during the process. When working with electricity, always be patient and take your time. Rushing can lead to mistakes and accidents. When working with electricity, double-check your work to ensure that everything is installed correctly. When working with electricity, if you are unsure about anything, ask for help from a qualified electrician. When working with electricity, remember that safety is always the top priority.